Welcome to the You Can't Afford Me podcast, where we skip the fluff and dive straight into the grind. Real entrepreneurs, real struggles, and the unfiltered journey behind success. Let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of the You Can't Afford Me podcast. Now, this gentleman I was introduced to by my best friend. Shout out to Javon Coker. And I think for years he's probably saying we needed to connect and never actually connected us. And then finally did a couple weeks ago. And second we started talking, man, we were like, yeah, this the vibe. Like we're on the same wavelength here. I'm not even going to butcher everything this man does because he does so much. So I'm going to kick it over to him and allow him to introduce himself, give us a quick rundown. But today we have Rod on the podcast. Rod, how you doing today, buddy?
Hey, Sam, man, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Absolutely.
You want me to give?
Yeah. Well, go ahead and jump into it, man.
Okay, all right. Rod Powell, entrepreneur, author, educator. I just start there. Agency principal, Encore Insurance Group. We're a full-service risk consulting and commercial insurance plan. We specialize in employee benefits, commercial insurance solutions, as well as personalized home and auto. Been in that industry nearly 2 decades at this point as an advocate as well. I've written 4 books, all industry related.
I know it's 4.
It's 4 books, 3 of them dealing with Black history of insurance. Also a university professor in the School of Risk Management and Insurance for Virginia Commonwealth University. And, I love what I do. I have a passion for life, and peace is the pathway to joy. So I always try to maintain it.
I love it. And you my kind of people, man, because I like people that are doing like 4 or 5 things at one time, man. That's
Only
how I roll.
4 or 5.
You're like, I remember my first part-time job.
That's right.
So let's start at the very beginning. So like before all this started, did you like follow in high school? Did you go into college? Did you go straight into the workforce? What was the situation?
It's crazy, man, because when ever since I was 13 years old, I thought I was going to be an R&B singer. So let's just start there. I remember seeing Jodeci, in their Forever My Lady video. They're standing by
Tell
the pool.
me what you want.
Well, that's the Drew Hill.
That's Drew Hill.
So you're having my baby.
Oh, yeah.
And it means so much to me. You know what I mean? Forever my lady.
That's it.
So I'm seeing that video, and I'm seeing these cats by the pool, and they got the white shorts. I'm like, yeah, I want to do that with my life. So for about 20 years, that's actually what I did. I pursued a career in the entertainment industry as an artist, as a music publisher. I ran an independent label. We had distribution through a couple of different major outlets, Universal, through Warner, eventually through a company called Nia, which was distributed through Koch Music Group, which is the largest independent music distributor in the world. Had a record chart on Billboard, had music and films, TV, toured internationally, had some amazing experiences in that space. And when my youngest son was born in 2012, I was like, man, I got to figure out a way to be home. I got to come off the road. And after having those phenomenal experiences, also realized that this industry doesn't create the most stable lifestyle either. There's a lot of ebbs and flows. So I had a lot of fun, but I didn't make a lot of money.
So let's pause right there because I'm glad you said that. We're going to pick up on your story from there. But every kid wants to be an artist. Like every kid sees Usher or like whoever the new ones are today. I don't listen to. I'm at that age now. I ain't listening to all the new stuff anymore. I can't keep up with everything.
I don't know. My kids, man, stuff they listen to us.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm like, yo, this is garbage. I'm sorry. I'm that parent now. I'm like,
call it what it is.
Yeah. I'm like, our music was way better.
Yeah.
But looking at that business, like you just hit on, like you ain't gonna make a lot of money. Talk to us about what those deals look like then when you were in the industry. Obviously, things have shifted dramatically. But no, you were saying in 2012 was when you got out?
2012 is when I released my last commercial project in 2012.
Okay.
I produced concert events. I still toured all the way up through. I really toured all the way up through 2015. But I was still working in the insurance industry at that time. So
gotcha.
When I got my life and health insurance license in 2012, and that's when I started to kind of phase out of the industry.
So you were in the music industry when streaming and everything like that was popping off.
When it was starting.
Yeah.
And so my record that I released in 2012, Ready to Live, and it was under the name Gerard Anthony. So if you want to look it up, feel free. There's music videos out there. There's all kind of stuff. But that record charted on Billboard, on the R&B charts, and I was touring, working around the country, and I realized that with streaming coming in, I was like, I'm getting a lot of press, and people are really talking about this record, but we're not really
getting the money.
A lot of records. I'm not getting a lot of money here. So I said, man, maybe there needs to be a pivot. It is a tough industry, but I'll tell you this, Sam, what it did for me, I started as an artist when I was 13 years old, right? Had some got to play the Apollo Theater a couple times. I had some amazing experiences. But what it really gave me a passion for was for business. Because throughout my time in music, because I spent the majority of my time independent, I also learned about music publishing. I learned about PR campaigns. I learned about radio campaigns. I learned about consignment, wholesaling, international distribution.
Contracts.
I learned about all of these other components, that artists typically don't deal with in this space. So not only did I continue to cultivate a passion for, just performance, but and writing primarily, but also for the business itself. And I think that's what made my transition into the industry I work in now, which is insurance, risk management, so easy. Because what music did do, whereas there wasn't a lot of money, you did have to create scenarios where it looked like a lot of money, right? So when you're trying to create...
I saw the docs, like these rappers have fake money that they're using in videos and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I never use like fake money, but it's entertainment.
Yeah,
right.
You're renting somebody's leasing you the vehicle for the day for the video.
It might be leased. Some of the clothes you wear, may come from a designer who's like you borrow it. For a little bit. But even when you go out on the road, you want to make sure that you're put together well. That you're presenting in a way that makes sense. That makes you desirable as a product, because that's what you are. And those elements, the work ethic that went behind doing that, calling venues, setting up tours, working with promoters, going out with high levels of uncertainty, developing an extremely high risk tolerance. Those are things that actually work to my benefit when I transitioned. Because when I came into the insurance industry and I started as an agent with a worksite marketing company dealing primarily with employee benefits, working with business owners, and you had to go out and talk to business owners about what was going to be, what would be valuable to them, and also what would be valuable to their employees at the same time. But I didn't have inhibitions about this because I already was used to putting myself out there. So for other individuals who may have thought it was difficult making a transition or coming into the space, not to say that it wasn't difficult, I just didn't feel the same apprehension because I was already used to not knowing where I was going to sleep if I went to the city, chasing the promoter around.
Which is what top skill set that any entrepreneur needs to have going out is like, man, I'm cool with sleeping in my car. I like to build my dream.
Eat food. Hey, what's food?
Yeah. I had it down to a science. I made that Little Caesars $5 pizza.
Yes.
I had 2 slices for breakfast, 2 slices for lunch, and 2 slices for dinner. Because I found out if it goes past 24 hours, that pizza turns into cardboard.
Absolutely. So that was your remedy, right? This is my formula, and I've been plant-based for 19 years. I've been vegan 19 years. So prior to being vegan, it was Aldi's had a turkey ham loaf. I would get the turkey ham loaf. I would get a couple of the tuna Star Kiss snack packs. They had the cracker and the tuna.
Yep, I remember those
together. I get a can of black beans, right? And then I get a bag of fruit. And we good.
Yep.
We good. We good for the week.
Yep.
We good because I can slice a piece of that ham, throw some beans with it. I can eat the tuna for lunch.
Yep. Skip dinner every now and then.
Skip dinner every now and then. No, I'm going to come back to the ham because I can also get a loaf of bread and I can make a sandwich with that.
Yep.
You see, so you can...
Yep.
You got to get creative with these things.
Have to get creative. And when you were in the music industry, we're going to transition over to the insurance side, but I want people to get the full picture of you. I'll never forget this quote from Nas where he was talking. He wanted to do a song with Prince. And he ended up running into Prince at a club, finally got 2 seconds to talk to him. And he was like, hey, man, I really want to do a record with you. And Prince looked at him and said, well, do you own your masters? And Nas was like, nah. He's like, come back to me when you own your masters. So explain to people what it looks like. What is owning your masters? And how does that allow you to generate more income in this industry?
You're right. Essentially, your masters are your intellectual property. They're the physical manifestation of that intellectual property. And it's very important that you do, because this is how you make money from that music without having to go on stage every single night and go around the country or around the world and burn your body out and wear yourself. Listen, it is so taxing to do that and live that lifestyle.
Oh, people think it looks cool and glamorous, but like the rehearsals, the practice, like you're on your feet nonstop. Like it's not a 9 to 5.
Yeah. But your masters are the true intellectual property. So when you are copywriting music, you have the sound recording copyright, and then you have the actual published work copyright. So if you write a song, that portion is the creative work, the published work, right? That's the lyrics, whatever the case may be. When you go into the studio and you put it down on a record, there's also a second part to that copyright, which is the sound recording copyright. So that sound recording copyright, this is what allows you to say, oh yeah, here, this movie, you can use this music.
Yeah.
This commercial, oh yeah, you can use this music. Or if I want to repackage it, not re-record it, but if I want to repackage it, resell it, I want to put it on the streaming services, I want to be able to be the one that's the beneficiary of what's coming from that, then I need to own those masters in order to benefit.
So if an artist doesn't own their masters, and let's say a major film, Tyler Perry's about to drop a new film and he wants his song, the studio can sell the rights to use that in the movie, but the artist won't make anything from that.
Not necessarily. Now, they may make a little bit from some of that publishing, right? Because when you're doing the copyright, you also have publishing, which is how you actually get paid from the copyright.
Gotcha.
So the publishing would say, okay, well, you wrote the lyrics to this song, and if the lyrics are used, we're going to pay you something. And then there's another portion of the publishing, which is the music or the actual administration rights of the music as well. And if you have that portion, then you get paid from that portion too. So you get paid from two parts. So if Tyler Perry comes and he wants to utilize some music, they're not just going to say, okay, let me play the song. They're going to say, hey, send me the stems. And the stems are the broken out tracks. I want just the guitar. I want just the drums. I want just the vocals. I want, the full instrumental except for the chimes that I heard in there. If you don't own the masters, you can't provide the stems.
Yeah.
The way that you make money from film and TV is when you own those masters, you get what's called sync fees. Sync fees are crazy. Sync fees could be $10,000. It could be small too. It could be $5,000. It could be $10,000. It could be $100,000. It could be $500,000. And this is just for your song to play in a movie for maybe 3 or 4 minutes, or even a TV show. So the masters allow you to make money from the sync fees, video game placement, commercials, once again, re-releases.
Now, do you get whether it's the studio or the individual, they get paid off of that? So let's take like a Christmas Story that plays every single Christmas, 24 hours on TBS. They get paid every time that movie's being replayed on TV.
The music that you hear in the background, whoever is the creator and owner of the publishing for that music, they're getting paid for that. And whoever has owned the masters, they probably got a big sync fee and probably are continuing, to get some fees from that. Now, they might have got a sync fee initially that was smaller, but they're continuing to make money from that.
Yeah, because I saw a post the other day talking about actors and like sitcoms and movies who are making millions per year and they haven't acted in years. And like, I think the top 3 were actually, no, I'm not sure if Macaulay Culkin was in the top 3. He was definitely in the top 10. But with Home Alone, it was like after that, I'm talking about Home Alone 1, not 2 or 3, any of that. 1 pays him like $20 million a year based off of how much that's played at Christmas time. And then I think Seinfeld came in at number 2. I think he's cashing in somewhere between, I don't know the numbers, 50, 65 mil or something a year because of the reruns. And then surprising to me, Friends was number 1. That cast makes more money off of reruns than anybody in television history.
That's crazy. And it makes sense. Now, the thing about the TV shows, they're also getting paid from the advertisement too. So the advertisement is helping to fund. Now, on the music side, you're not getting paid for the advertisement. But you are getting paid for the right to use that music in that film or in that commercial, in that TV show. So,
the opportunities for that have exploded a lot more with like video games and stuff like that now.
For sure. For sure. And for any artist who might listen to this, yo, you don't make money selling records. You make money licensing music.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you make money. I had a song in a movie called Girls Trip, which was a
Oh
film that
yeah,
came out a few years ago.
yeah.
And they played 4 minutes of my record. Now the publishing split up between like 6 guys. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of splits there, but I still get checks, quarterly
That's
for
dope.
that film, in addition to an initial sync fee that they had in place. So there's opportunities to really build a living. And I'm not, listen, I had my time.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 20 years in that space. I'm not actively in it now.
Yeah.
So there are others who are going to be more adept at what it looks like today. But what I can say is that it is very viable for someone to make a living making music without necessarily being worldwide.
Like there are cats right now making millions on TikTok because one creator took 6 seconds of their hook, and then that song gets spread around all over TikTok, millions and millions and millions of views, and they're starting to cash those checks.
Somebody DM'd me like last week from Brazil and was like, hey, I discovered, now this is something I got to check on because they said they discovered it in a show called Skins. And I'm like, I ain't get a sing for you. But they discovered like some of my music, the song called The Dream. I'm like, how you even find me here? Because on my social media, the Rod Powell, it doesn't say, it's not, I'm not talking about music. So I'm like, how you even find me here? And they were like, I tracked you down because I saw the music. Then I found Gerard Anthony. Then I saw it was Rod Powell. And I just sent you a message here. And I was like, so I wrote that song 28 years ago. You know what I mean? And still lives.
That's the thing with any form of marketing. This is what I try to drive in people's heads when I'm trying to get their psychology right when it comes to marketing. You do the work once, and this is stuff that you can get paid off of for years and years, if not a lifetime. Like I remember E.T. the Hip Hop Preacher. One of my favorite motivational speakers.
Shout out.
I remember when I found him online, it was this one video. It was this kid, I think he was a running back at LSU or something like that. And it was E.T.'s motivational speech behind it. And this kid was just getting it like in the weight room. But like literally I would wake up every day and watch that video for like a straight year. Like it just got me so hyped up. But that one video that exploded E.T. to what he is today, that was sitting on YouTube for 6 years before that got traction.
Wow.
And so many people will post a video and in an hour it doesn't get a certain amount of likes or views and they're like, let me take this down. I'm like, don't ever delete anything because you never know when something can take off. It's a great book called The Tipping Point that kind of goes into stuff like that.
Gladwell.
Yep.
Yes.
Great book.
Yes, it is.
One of my favorite books. Now, the transition into insurance. So let's just talk about the lifestyle and mindset shift.
Oh, for sure.
Because that's got to be a big shift. Like, I'm not trying to put your dirty laundry out there, but I'm sure like the women were probably right when you're on tour. Like you're there's this lifestyle of partying, things like that.
Those on video, you see my facial expression. These comments,
we can neither confirm nor deny.
Neither confirm nor deny.
This is the first time we're talking about this, so I don't know for sure. But that transition has to be massive from being out on the road and being on stage and performing to putting on a suit and being in an office. Was that a hard transition for you, or was it something that came natural because you felt like this was something you were meant to do?
It's an interesting question. There definitely was a difference in lifestyle approach. And frankly, by the time I got to that point, I was ready for a change.
How old were you when you made the switch?
33.
Oh, yeah. Well,
33.
That's when men start to get smart in their 30s. Once we hit 30, we start to wake up.
Listen, I still don't know if I'm as smart as I should be. I'm still trying to work in that direction. But I was 33, and my youngest son was about a year old. And the transition for me was one where I just wanted to be able to come home every night.
Mm-hmm.
Had a family. I just wanted to be able to be at home, and I wanted to be there with my boys.
Because being on the road isn't as glamorous as people think. Like sometimes you're just like, man, I just want to sleep in my own bed, dude.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get home.
Yeah,
and all the other things, they kind of take their place and kind of run their course. Remember, I started this when I was 13 years old. I started that journey when I was 13 years old. So that went all the way up until, that 33, 34, even after I was producing some events and stuff. So
you had your fill.
I had plenty of experiences. I had experiences when I was a younger person, like no Diddy experiences. Let me just make that clear, But I had experiences as a younger person that most adults don't have,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And, I can't imagine, like, when I look at my youngest son is 15 now.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at him, I'm like, I know where
Yeah.
I was at when I was 15, and
You're
I can't
like,
imagine.
you're like, I lived a whole lifetime by the time I was your age, boy.
By the time I was his age, I played the Apollo. I've been in the offices of major labels. I had, people approach me, grown women approaching me in ways that were inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were many things. I was hanging out, kind of late. I'd done some really interesting things. And thank you, God, for allowing me to get through everything.
Yeah.
But the mindset shift was really one where I didn't think about the difference between being out or being on stage. What I really thought about was, how can I take what I have cultivated from a work ethic and discipline standpoint
Mm-hmm.
and transfer this into another place, right? My like I said, I had the same risk tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
and I also thought, man, how can I approach this in a way that I don't see other people approaching it?
Yeah.
Can I be maybe a little bit more personable? Can I show more of my personality,
Mm-hmm.
in the way that I communicate and talk to these things? Oddly enough, Sam, I still ended up being on the road because it was just in Virginia. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, instead of going to Atlanta,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to come back, I could go to Roanoke,
Yeah.
and then come back, so a little bit different. But it was just more of the shift in lifestyle was just more of a time shift.
Yeah.
And it actually was appreciated.
Yeah.
It was really appreciated, to be very, very frank. I had a great time in the entertainment industry. I had some great friends. I still have great relationships there from people that I've known, and met and have worked with. I've worked with some amazing folks, man. Some, one of them, not from Richmond, but from Virginia, Nate Smith. He just won 2 Grammys.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing at the, I don't know when this is coming out, but, he's playing a national, looking forward to supporting his show. I worked with him, worked as another gentleman from him, B-Boy Zoe, did some stuff with him, who also won a Grammy, working with Matt Skills. Worked with Lonnie Liston Smith, who's the father of Jazz Funk Fusion,
Mm-hmm.
on a record. Just have worked with some amazing people. Like, I could list some folks, but amazing people. I did meet Diddy one time, just as an FYI. He poured me a glass of Moet. He probably wouldn't even remember this, but this is at a place called The Tunnel up in New York,
Yeah.
which was an amazing club back in the day. But I didn't go to a party. I just...
Did you see too many bubbles in the glass, man?
No, I didn't see any bubbles.
All right, cool.
I saw just enough bubbles in the glass. It was actually a great experience, going to that club and feeling like I was in a Hype Williams video. If you were around in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, Hype was killing all
Hype
those music videos.
Every video with all the lights and...
He was a Quentin Tarantino of music videos.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So that's what The Tunnel felt like. It felt like a Hype Williams video. But I had some great experiences there. And by the time I made the shift, I was more than happy.
Yeah.
To start making the shift.
Now, why insurance as the vehicle? Because a lot of people will look at that and think those are two dramatically different, industries and systems. And a lot of people, like, when you look at things in the financial sector, and I can find interest in anything, but a lot of people will look at that and be like, man, aren't you bored compared to what you were doing before? Like, why was that business was the route for you, but why was insurance the vehicle?
It's crazy because I never thought about the insurance industry.
Mm-hmm.
What happened is, there was a panel that I just moderated last week, coming out of Black History Month. I moderated a panel for Black History Month, and one of the conversations that came up from a friend and panelist, Richie Henry, who is the Chief Operations Officer for Markel, he said, you have to have skills that are transferable.
Mm-hmm.
Have to have skills that are transferable. Focus on cultivating skills that are transferable. And as I mentioned, some of the skills that I developed in the music industry did translate into the insurance industry. Now, this is how this came about. When I put together my resume,
Mm-hmm.
and I started to list out the things I had done, I started to get calls from insurance companies.
Mm.
I started to get calls from insurance companies because the commonality between where I started, which was as an agent in sales, and the music industry is it mostly is about building relationships.
Yeah, it's communication and relationships.
You can develop the technical skills. When I was recording as an artist, I released 6 projects. You know, I don't consider myself to be, I mean, people have really given me platitudes about the music that I've created, which I appreciate, but I never considered myself to be, you know, the greatest artist, the person who made the best or dopest music out there. But I was good at building relationships with people.
Yeah.
And because I was good at building relationships with people, when there were opportunities, people thought of me, right? And that pushed me ahead of even others who may have been more talented.
Yep.
You know, because of the relationships that I cultivated. So I think what the commonality was, you say, okay, well, you see that you are able to basically create and cultivate relationships from scratch. And those relationships are mutually beneficial, right? And if you're able to do that here in one segment, you can do that in another segment.
Easily.
The only difference is, what's the tool that you're using?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm using a guitar and a microphone over here, right? I'm using, you know, the policy language, you know, and a pen or a laptop over here. But it's still me. You know, it's still me communicating who I am. So what I found was, this is when I went to my first interview for an opportunity in the insurance industry. What I found was, okay, you're meeting people, communicating with them, educating. You're obviously building rapport, building relationship, but you're educating them on something that's going to bring value to them, to their business and their employees. Then, after that, you are receiving some degree of compensation if the value you add makes sense. And the thing about the insurance industry that I thought was very similar to the music industry was the residual income as well, because I was used to the concept of music publishing.
You write the policy once, get paid for years.
When I learned about renewals, you know, purely from like just a business sense, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense, because that's like publishing. I wrote the song once. Okay, I still get a check from Harry Fox, and I have gotten 2-cent checks before too. But I got to get a check from Harry Fox or from CSAC.
Pennies can add up to dollars, though.
Hey, I've got some nice ones too, though. You know, I got some nice ones too. But I was like, okay, well, it works in that same capacity. And, you know, you still have the freedom to go out and express yourself. So if you're writing a song and you are expressing yourself that way, in that creative sense, that's one way. But you're still going out to express yourself on the insurance side, because you're delivering, well, you're going to deliver the information in a compliant way, but you're still delivering it with your personality. You're still communicating based on who you are. And you still get to see new places, which I got to do in music. I got to see new places in insurance. You know, you get to meet new people in different industries, in different spaces. Same thing that I did in music, that I did in insurance. And like I said, at the end of the day, any business you're in, it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's music or media or insurance or law or medicine, it's still a people business. You're dealing with people at the end of the day.
And I think too, like, because I never had the gift of the pipes. Like, my mom and dad could sing their butt off, man. Like, my dad was a pastor. They sung in church all the time. Me, I'm great in the shower. Outside of that, man, I can't hold a tune. But I did acting from like 5th grade to my senior year. And I found that similarity in people that have strong sales skills. They often were in some level of performance, whether it was music or acting or whatever it is, because just getting used to being up in front of a crowd of 100, 500,000 people, when you sit across the table from somebody one-on-one, that ain't nothing. And the fact that you being able to control a room. So to have people sitting on the edge of their seats, because as a performer, me as an actor, like, I know we both know certain ways that we can conjure the tone of our voice, how we deliver something that can get somebody to kind of lean in and know that they want to get more of this. So I think that's salesmanship. And I highly believe that's the number one skill set of any entrepreneur. Like, if you strip me down and said, hey, as a CEO and entrepreneur of this company, what's the one skill set you want to keep and what you want to continue to do? And it's always sales, dude. I love sitting across the table from somebody who may not think that they need me, or like they may just be taking this meeting out of pity. And then by the time I leave that table, they can't see themselves taking their business to the next level without me.
Where was I before?
Yeah. That's the game, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I think with sales, it gets I won't say sales gets a bad rap, but I think it gets a misunderstood interpretation by most people, because the reality is, in everything that you do in life or everything you aspire to do, there's going to be some sales component, right?
And more of salesmanship is listening versus talking.
Absolutely. If you want to date someone, you're selling yourself to get that date. And if you want a second date, you better have a good sales pitch on that first date.
Absolutely.
Right? If you're interviewing for a job, you're selling yourself to get that job, right? And then you better continue to sell yourself and your performance, to maintain that job. I think where the misinterpretation with sales comes from some of the psychology or a perceived persuasion that may be happening. And to your point, if you are utilizing a tone or an inflection, you're utilizing that tone or inflection to emphasize the point that you want to make with genuine intention.
Absolutely.
Because the true objective of a salesperson who is doing it the right way is, I know that I want to offer you value. I see maybe what you don't see.
Yeah.
And I have a solution for what you don't see. So I have to educate you that on the fact that, hey, this is something that is going to help you.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
So when someone is approaching it from that standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world. And to your point, I also agree that it is a skill that every entrepreneur should have, and it is the best profession that anyone can step into. And I would encourage any early career professional, regardless of your path, try something and say, go knock on some doors.
That will wait, dude. My biggest fear. So the second business I ever started was Cycle. It was a valet laundry service. And in order to get the word out, I was like, we knew certain neighborhoods that we wanted to target. So me and my business partner, he was living out of town. I was running the Richmond operation. And we came up with this idea. We were printing off a bunch of flyers. And he was like, all right, man, you need to go hit these neighborhoods and go door to door. And, man, I was willing to do anything but not that. Yeah. Because I had built up this scenario in my head that I don't even get to touch someone's door. I go to knock on it, and they open up the door, and they got a big old shotgun. They're like, what the hell are you doing on my property type thing? I'm like, yo, I'm just trying to sell laundry service. Like, get the hell off my property. Like, that was just always a fear in my head. And I knocked on countless doors. And that did not happen not once. Matter of fact, it was generally the opposite. People were like, oh, damn, I actually need a service like this. This makes sense.
Most of the fears we have are...
It's all up there.
We play through these crazy scenarios of these coulda, woulda, shouldas.
Yeah.
And none of that is what the actual reality is. It's hilarious. We all deal with it. So, go and face it. Right?
Because no matter what field you go into, if you develop salesmanship, I don't care if you're an accountant, I don't care if you're an employee, whatever it is, you got to sell yourself to get that next raise.
That's right.
You need those skill sets.
Right. You better be able to justify it. Otherwise, it's not coming.
Yep.
And listen, and I'll tell you what, being on the other side, as you are, like being the business owner, it's like, listen, we trying to keep the ship afloat here.
Yep. But I can also appreciate it. If somebody comes to me with the right pitch, I'm like... all right, now.
Okay, I got you. Right.
You coming correct. All right, now I really got to consider this.
That's it. So it's one of those skills that I believe is truly, underrated and underutilized.
Yes.
Knock some door. If you're in college, go sell some Cutco knives or something. Or some
yes.
It'll
also help you in the dating world, because if you get used to somebody slamming the door in your face,
for sure,
then when you go up to a girl at the club and she says, get out of here, you ain't thinking nothing of it, you right on to the next one.
So going back to the music piece, as much fun as I had in that industry is filled with rejection.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So I got really numb to rejection. My skin just became like really thick to it, so it didn't really matter if somebody told me I was no. I mean, because people tell me, yo, no, you suck. I'm like, okay.
All right.
I mean, there's somebody
That's
who
your
thinks
opinion.
I don't. That's your opinion. That's cool. Other people think I don't. I'm still getting gigs. I'm still selling records.
Plus, when you get into that system, you understand, hey, in general, I'm averaging for every 20 no's I get one yes.
And
So at that
yes
point, you're just looking like, how quick can I get to the next no so I can get to that yes?
And that one yes makes all the no's.
Yeah, you forget about all that.
You forget about all of that when you get that yes.
Now talk to us about because I have some questions on the insurance side. Talk to us about the particular insurance products that you offer.
So our firm, Encore Insurance Group, as I mentioned, we're full service. So we work primarily with businesses. We work with them on their commercial insurance solutions. So not only protecting their property and their assets, but also protecting them against liability exposures, which businesses can be subjected to. We always like to emphasize that wealth accumulation and asset preservation are in the same category.
Yep.
Right? Because you can earn, things can be rolling, things can be going well, but one wrong occurrence, one lawsuit, one situation can bankrupt you, can change the entire trajectory of where you intended on going. So we say utilize your insurance protection as an asset to protect and grow your business.
Yeah.
Right? Protect what you are building. Protect the value that you're creating in the marketplace. Right? We also work with companies on their employee benefit plan design. Typically, small to mid-sized businesses, we're showing them how to introduce employee benefits into, their strategy of attracting and retaining employees.
Yeah.
Because that is really what employee benefits is all about. It's easier to keep high-quality people on your team than to go out and find new high-quality people, because we know what the talent chase race market is like. It is tough to find good people, let alone get them up to speed inside of your organization.
Absolutely.
So we show businesses, hey, this is how you leverage these employee benefits to keep them around through guaranteed issue programs, right? Guaranteed issue life insurance is huge, because life insurance can be a hassle to purchase individually, but if it's offered through the job on a guaranteed issue basis, you can avoid and bypass on underwriting.
Yeah.
Helping businesses to avoid potential workers' comp claims by leveraging, accident insurance. You can say, hey, look, workers' comp, if it does happen on the job and you need a workers' comp claim filed, then yes, it's going to happen. But if somebody's playing ball on the weekend and they end up getting hurt, but then they come and it's slippery outside, and you say, oh, well, maybe this is how I got hurt. Then you got a claim that wasn't necessary. So put an accident policy in place for those individuals so that they can have that as a recourse that is not going to impact the business. We say utilize your group health insurance, because 50% of the U.S. population receives health insurance from their employer.
Yep.
What does that do for you? That helps you to become a more competitive, more attractive employer, an employer of choice, if you will. And then individuals will say, you know what, I'm staying here because I have the security of having these employee benefits in place. I had done some analysis around this, and the average onboarding cost of a new employee was about $50,000 a year, in addition to their actual compensation. Whereas the expense for that person on an employee benefit plan, on average, for that one person, the employer's contribution on average for that person would probably be about $5,000 for the year. So would you rather keep spending $50,000, or would you rather spend this $5,000 and keep this person around?
Yep.
So those are the types of conversations that we're having. Once again, we help people with their individual needs as well, as far as their home, their auto. We do some concierge service, for higher net worth individuals on their risk management planning as well. But
some of that include life insurance as well too?
Some of that does include life insurance. We're working with businesses, key person, executive bonus, compensation plans.
Yep.
To help, not only protect themselves if something happens to those key employees, but once again, in retaining that high talent that somebody else is calling.
Yeah.
If you like them,
they're calling.
Somebody else is calling them.
Yeah, they're calling. I've seen that firsthand.
Right. So you want to find. Oh, and listen, I've seen it. I've been the callee and the caller.
Yep. So it's like, whatever they're doing over there for you, man, I'll double it. Come on over to this side.
So I understand, what those things look like. I understand the struggles. Just like I said, as a business owner myself, I understand what it's like, to keep the ship afloat. I understand what it's like to build a plane while you're flying it.
Absolutely.
And to not only look out for the best interests of the people who are working with you on your team, but also, looking out for the best interests of the bottom line of the business.
Absolutely.
So those are the solutions we look to provide.
And I know we got a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the show. Like, y'all need to lock in on this part of the conversation, because this isn't the glamorous side of like what we have to do every day.
For
like
sure.
the count, like, man, all the stuff that ain't cool that comes with being a CEO, like we have to do. Like I got to get back with my accountant. I still owe him some documentation for our taxes this year and stuff like that. Like, I've been putting it off. Like, this ain't fun stuff, but it's very necessary.
Stuff,
yeah.
It's not the Instagram stuff.
Yeah, it's not the Instagram stuff, but this stuff is very necessary to run a business. Hitting on that employee retention piece that you talked about, like, yeah, today's employment, and we're seeing some things shift in the marketplace in terms of like unemployment rates and people getting laid off. Like, I think, was it Amazon, like, drop like 20, 50,000 jobs or something like that. And this is just the beginning phases of all this. So we're going to see that begin to escalate. So to go out and get that talent. And when I say this, y'all, listen to me. I've owned this business for 11 years, and I've probably had 6 or 7 different full crews in here. The team I got right now is by far the best I've had in 11 years. And I'm doing everything I can to make sure these people are happy. Like, 2 of them had a birthday within the last week.
Yeah.
One of my staff members, she's in the Pokemon cards. I said, one of our clients that we used to serve, Graybo's cards, like, I know he was the top guy in town, knew about that. So I was like, yo, I'm bringing my team by. I need you to hook it up.
Yes.
Tell me what I need to get her, sort of thing. I was just sharing with you, Slade, one of our videographers. He's a golfer, so I took him to Golf Galaxy yesterday. Yeah. Let's get a new glove. But I try to pull him to the side, get quick 15 minutes with him every week. Hey, man, how you feeling?
Yeah.
Like, what's stressing you out?
Yeah.
What do you need from me?
Yeah.
Like, all those different things. And then to add on the additional benefits to that, like, you have to put in a good amount of effort. Like, I mean, we got video game arcade machines here. Like, I got TVs in every room. I'm like, yo, I want y'all to be comfortable. I want you to walk in here every day, be like, who? Because this is the feeling I get when I come to the office every day. I can't wait for Mondays. Monday's my favorite day of the week. Man, I love this place.
No, and it's a beautiful space to come into. It's comfortable. It has a calming kind of energy to it.
Yep.
So you can come in here and you can focus, and especially for your business, for Enzo, it's like you have to have a space where you can create, right?
Yes.
Where your mind is open to that. And it's an important point that you brought up by creating and curating that kind of environment, because when you think about employee benefits, sometimes people confine it to insurance. But as a consultant, we look at what's the bigger picture outside of that. You know, what are you doing outside of purely just insurance and salary? Are there maybe memberships, to a golf club?
Yep.
Are there gym memberships potentially? Do we have maybe, once a quarter have a masseuse come in?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And do some things like that. So we're always looking at what are the solutions, not just insurance related, but beyond that, in addition to what you're doing, and maybe everything you're doing is correct, right?
Yep.
But you want to keep morale high, because high morale equals high productivity.
Absolutely.
We want it to, right? But typically it does. That morale is going to go to productivity, because there's a thing called quiet quitting too.
Oh, yeah. I've experienced that with some team members too. Now I know the signs.
Yeah.
Because I pick up on it. I know exactly how to do that. Let's transition over to the phase in your life of being an author. Yeah. Talking about like the financial literacy piece, and for me in particular, people of color. Like, I think it's more important than ever, because as Black people, we've now figured out how to make money.
Right.
We got to keep it.
We got to keep it.
We got to keep it.
Got to perpetuate it.
Yeah, because like right now, BET isn't even owned by a person of color.
It's not.
It was sold off.
Yeah.
So I look for these opportunities to educate our people as much as possible on how we can preserve this, how we can continue to build that generational wealth. And I look at something like life insurance. And I want you to break this down, because I think so many people don't truly understand what life insurance is. Yeah. And the thing that pains me the most is I drive through the projects and I see BMWs and Lexuses lined up. I see people with new J's on their feet, but they ain't willing to spend $25 a month to have a life insurance policy, when the life expectancy living in those areas may be in your 30s or 40s. Somebody gets shot, you get a check for $250,000, your whole family out the hood. But it's knowing, like, once you get that money, because I believe majority of lottery winners, when they win the lottery, they end up within the next 3 to 5 years end up being more broke than they were before they. So getting access to money isn't the problem. It's the educational and the understanding of that. So I want you to first break down life insurance and how people can use that as a wealth building tool.
No, it's a great question. First of all, let's just talk about the name. It's called life insurance. What do people think about when they think about life insurance?
They think it's death insurance.
It's not death insurance, okay? There are specific products for that. It's life insurance. It's to preserve the quality of life. What life insurance is, in essence, is to protect against the financial risk of premature death. So if you're saying to yourself, I plan to make $10 million, but something happens to you before you made that $10 million, that life insurance policy can get to that $10 million on your behalf.
Yep.
Okay? So it is to protect you against the financial risk of premature death. The second thing is, and this is the other side of life insurance is a financial vehicle that is utilized to build wealth as well. So there's two primary types of life insurance. You have term, and then you have permanent. We call it perm, so we'll say term and perm. Term policies are a terminating benefit. That's why it's term. It's a temporary policy, 10, so 20,
you can do,
30 years.
Yeah, I was going to say you can do that for like 10 years or something
10 years,
like that.
20 years, 30 years. That policy, once again, if you say, hey, I'm going here, but you don't make it, the policy will make it on your behalf. Whether it be for income replacement, whether it be for education, whether it be for your debt, whether it be for your mortgage, whether it be for just an instant estate liquidity, right? So let's say you're in a situation where you're not necessarily a high income earner, but you want to create an advantage, for your family should something happen to you. That $250,000, that $500,000, that can change the trajectory of the next generation's life.
Absolutely.
It can be the difference between someone starting a business, someone going to school. You can be that picture that's on the fireplace, above the mantle. It says, hey, man, if it wasn't for grandpa and grandma having that life insurance policy, let's talk about some real life example. Well, first, let me finish explaining. So you have term, which is a terminating benefit. It's temporary, okay? Larger expenses. Great for people with young families, new professionals. If you have a mortgage, somebody still has to pay it. If you die, if they want to keep that house, term policy is for that. It's a large amount of insurance for a smaller premium. The second part is permanent insurance.
Well, with that term too, isn't it good? Like, let's say someone never got life insurance and they're now 55, 60 years old. Typically, would they go towards a term versus a whole life policy?
If they're over 55, they're going to be looking more towards a permanent policy.
Okay.
The reason they're going to be looking more towards a permanent policy is because with a term policy, when that term ends,
that's it.
It has to it's done.
Yeah.
If you try to renew that policy,
it's going to be a lot more.
It's going to be a whole lot more if you qualify.
Yeah.
Which you might not.
So grandpa was planning on living till he was 90, but now he's 92 and
I tell you, my dad, he had a term policy that ended the month before he died. Now, luckily, he had a permanent policy that he had purchased from me about 4 months before he died. Isn't that crazy?
Man.
That's the policy that ended up reimbursing the cost of his funeral.
And that's the piece with black folk, is I heard this old saying, is that black families grieve twice when we have to bury a loved one. You grieve for the loss, but then you grieve because of the checks you got to write for the funeral.
And who's writing them? Right? Who's writing them? Oftentimes you have families arguing over who's paying for what, and
that's where you see the GoFundMe accounts popping up on Facebook. Like
necessary.
Yeah.
When me and my siblings, we have a great relationship. But when my dad died, even though because he died within a 2-year time span of the policy existing, it goes into what's called contestability. So they had to make sure that it wasn't something that was pre-existing before he died, which they did, and they took care of it. But it took some time to get that claim process. But the funeral home wanted to get paid today.
Yep.
So like I said, me and my siblings, we have a great relationship. But in our case, it was like, look, here's a check, and we'll figure that out on the back end.
Yeah.
But everybody doesn't have that. That luxury, so they're trying to figure it out with these GoFundMes. Now, for the second portion of the perm, because the permanent policies, because that kind of goes into this 55 and above. If someone's 55 and above, they would do a final expense policy typically. A final expense policy is a permanent policy. In fact, a final expense policy is a whole life policy. A whole life policy is the oldest permanent insurance policy. A whole life policy is the policy that is utilized to create cash value that can then be leveraged for future investments, for maybe a vacation, maybe a future expense, whatever you want.
That's the piece that people don't know.
Whatever you want. And there's some other dynamics to this, but whole life being the oldest, this is what James Cash Penney used to keep J.C. Penney afloat during the Great Depression. He used the cash value from his whole life insurance policy to keep that company moving. It's what Walt Disney used to start Disney World initially, the cash value policy from that whole life insurance policy to create what we now know as the entire Disney brand. You know, it's what, who else used it? Ray Kroc used to buy the McDonald's intellectual property and brand from the McDonald's brother. He used the cash value from a whole life insurance policy to create what has become, you know, the McDonald's brand worldwide.
Absolutely.
So these use cases for cash value life insurance are so powerful. And oftentimes, you know, when people are speaking to me about life insurance, they're saying, oh, well, I don't want a term policy. I want a whole life policy. My question is always why?
Yeah.
You know, what has kind of created that interest? Because if your interest is in protecting income or taking care of the large expenses you have, you probably need a term policy.
Yeah.
However, if you want to utilize that policy to make money, then we are going to talk about a permanent policy. Because when we're talking about a whole life policy or an index universal life policy, which is the most current iteration of permanent policies, that's designed to kind of be a hybrid between you know what a traditional whole life policy has been and a variable policy, which is a policy that builds value based on stock performance. The index universal life is kind of sitting in the middle of that, right?
Yep.
So you don't have the risk of losing money, but you also have the opportunity to participate in market gains that are available as well.
And you got the option to have both too. I think I have whole life and
both.
term.
Listen, first of all, you should have multiple, right? All you're doing when you buy a permanent policy is buying money.
Yeah.
Because when you're paying that policy premium, let's take, for example, an index universal life policy. And an index universal life policy may grow and be credited interest based on, let's say, S&P 500.
Yeah.
When you're paying the premium into that policy, there's a portion that is the cost of insurance. The rest of that is going towards building cash value. So the interest is continue to grow over time. At a certain point, that interest is going to supersede the amount of premiums that you paid into the policy.
Yep.
In which case, the company is now paying you to keep that policy. Now, I'll take it a step further, Sam. Let's say you've had that policy for some time. Let's say you've had it for 10 years. You've been paying that premium, and there's $50,000 in cash value sitting there. There's $50,000 in cash value sitting in this policy, and you say, I want to buy a Subway franchise. Right?
Yep.
Okay. No, let's go more specific. You say, I'm going to franchise Enzo Media. And we're going to, and I need $50,000 to set that up and start building out other locations around the country.
Yep.
You call the insurance company. There's no loan. You're not going to the bank to apply for a loan. Right? They're not trying to kind of check your debt to income ratio and your credit. And listen, if you're a business owner, that can get very tricky.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because you're trying to pull these tax returns and you're trying to write stuff off so you can keep your income low. But at the same time, you need to make sure it's high enough so you can buy something if you need to buy it. You know, right? So
I'm playing that game right now because we're about 3 years from building our next house. So like my accountants and CFO knows like, okay, starting next year, I need you to show them more income.
So now I need to pay some extra. So now I know I need to pay some extra and I need to retain some earnings here. So when you're doing that kind of dance, let's say we're expanding out this franchise, we're going to call the insurance company. Hey, can you deposit $50,000 in my account? I'm going to take this on. I'm going to borrow this. I'm going to take this on loan. No problem, Mr. Anderson. Here you go. In 2 days, the money's in your account.
Yeah.
First of all, this money is in your account tax free. Okay.
Keyword tax free.
And we'll say tax advantage, right? Just in case anybody's listening. We'll say it's tax advantage. The money does not exist. It's not income.
Yeah.
So now you have this money. this capital in your pocket that you can utilize for whatever project you need. Okay, you're going to go out, you're going to spend $50,000 launching these new franchises. Those new franchises, they're going to generate you $100,000 in new revenue over the next year or two. Now, along the way, you're still paying the premium in the policy. But here's what actually happened. When you borrowed that money from the policy, you didn't borrow your cash value.
Yeah.
You borrowed the insurance company's money. And because you borrowed the insurance company's money, where's your cash value?
Still in there.
It's still sitting in your policy, growing and accumulating that interest. So
just like borrowing money against like stock options or land or property or something that you have.
Exactly. The difference being now that land is still accumulating. Maybe the stocks are too, right? In that policy, let's say your interest rate was 4%.
Yeah.
But you're still being credited. Your growth is 10%. So you now arbitrage that 6%. That means you made 6% on the money you borrow that's in your pocket that's still growing inside of that account. So when I'm saying, hey, utilize multiple policies, if you just want to simply buy money, just keep setting up those policies. The one thing that people have to understand about life insurance, and it's always interesting that people are like, oh, I don't know about life insurance. Well, life insurance is a luxury product.
Yeah.
You have to qualify for it. You can't just go get it.
Yep.
You got to go through the whole underwriting process.
You got pee in the cup, all that stuff.
If it was something that was designed to simply just take your money,
then
there wouldn't be a qualification process. They would say, hey, yeah, everybody can have this.
Yeah.
Everybody cannot.
So I give people a real world example. All the stuff you listed out, I can make it extremely personable. Our mutual connect, Javon.
Yes.
This is at a time.
He's an expert in this.
Oh, yeah, for sure. A couple of years ago, I was getting hardcore into investing in some property.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the second property I wanted to buy, but I was also dumping some money into the business here. And I'm like, I found this property and I was like, I know I have to own this property. And I'm sitting racking my brain, man, where can I pull the cash out? I don't want to sell any stock. Like, that's on the rise. Like, I don't want to dip into savings here. I don't want to do this. And I started getting on the phone with Javon and chatting. He's like, bruh, you have like 5 life insurance policies. You got one on yourself, one on your wife, one on your mom, and you got 2 on your kids. So I was like, all right, let me look at tapping into the kit. I was able to pull the cash I needed out of that. And that investment has now, this is maybe going on 3 years. That investment has grown 10x that I use that money for my life insurance policy.
Real life.
Yeah. And that's actual cash in my hand. Like I can go sell that property today and I will make 10x off of what I borrowed.
See, and here's what you did. You took the action to establish these policies and funded them so that opportunity was available to you. It's like playing the game cash flow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like taking that money and saying, hey, I'm going to put it into this financial vehicle because the other thing about permanent life insurance is you're not just spending the money and tossing it somewhere. All you're doing is just transferring this liquid money to another asset.
That's it.
You're not leaving it in your bank account to die.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to do, sitting in the bank. So take that, transfer it to another asset where it can actually go to work for you.
And I'd employ people, like you heard me just list off all those names.
Yeah.
So my dad passed away probably 3 years ago. And my mom and dad were married for 40-some years. Like, there were certain things in the house my dad always took care of. So, like, now I've realized I'm the only son.
Yep.
I'm going to have to take care of moms. One of the first things I did within the first year of my dad passing away, and now she's on a single income. I'm looking at that. I'm like, Mom, what's the life insurance policy like? And we start digging. I get Javon jumping into her stuff. And she got some little rinky-dink policy at her company that she thinks is what she needs. But, like, that thing's only going to pay out like $20,000, $30,000.
Yeah.
That's barely covering the casket.
Yeah.
Like, so that ain't going to work. So we ran the numbers, and I put a policy on my mom. I think I'm paying like $30 a month for a policy on my mom that's strong 6 figures.
Yeah.
The kids, when they were, I think at the time, both kids were 3 was when one was 3 and one was 4. I think that's when I put the insurance policies on them.
The best time to do it.
Yeah, and their policies are the ones that I've been able to pull the money out and borrow against. And then there's a policy on my wife as well, too. So, like, luckily my in-laws have a good policy in place because I was about to buy one for them, too. Because I'm like, at the end of the day, once everybody, like, starts falling off, it's all going to come back on my shoulders.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I can either take care of this now the smart way, or I can scramble and grieve twice when all this happens later on down the road.
Same analogy as employee benefits. You want to do a little bit now and a lot later.
Yep, that's
You know
it.
what I mean?
That's
you
it.
Do a little bit now, a lot later. And the benefit and return still equates to being the same.
Yep.
Because a high quality person on your team, that's going to generate revenue for the company.
Absolutely.
Right? Being able to take care of, the life of a person that you care about, or being able to establish a policy that is going to generate cash value for the policy, that is taking care of the family.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So those are conversations that we definitely find ourselves in.
And the younger you are starting a policy, the cheaper it is.
Well, you talked about your kids and say, hey, look, I bought the cash value from the kids policy. Well, the cost of insurance on the children is like this.
Oh, I ain't paying jack. It's like $15 a month for each of them.
The vast majority of money that you put in, you can put in extra money too. So like the vast majority of money you put in is really going towards accruing cash value.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's all about how these things are structured. So you do have the term, you do have the permanent term. Okay, I know that there's a place that I might need to get to financially. If I don't make it, the term policy is going to get there for me in that certain period of time. And then permanent, hey, either I want to stabilize premiums, i.e., final expense, maybe a smaller, whole or index universal life policy, or I am looking to use life insurance to make money. Point blank.
Yep.
Matter of fact, I would go even further. When you're setting up this policy, what you really want is, you want to say a permanent policy, how much can I put into this policy with the smallest death benefit possible?
Yep.
So the vast majority of my money is going towards building cash value.
Yeah. People got to understand, this is a wealth building tool. Right. This is a wealth building tool. And it pains me because this should be the first step to creating generational wealth.
It is.
Because I think our population now, I think young black men are actually the fastest growing demographic for investors now in the stock market. So I'm glad we're starting to catch on to that. But I mean, when I tell you guys I'm spending $15 a month each on my kids' life insurance policy, and that's six figures coming our way, God forbid something happens. Right. But we don't know what's going to happen in life. That's why it's called insurance. This is an insurance policy. It's there to protect it. Exactly. And you got to look at all of these things when you're building an empire, because a lot of times we kind of categorize these things like, oh, work's over here, here's my business, here's my family over here. No, those things mesh. Now I got my wife working in the business, so we're all the way intertwined with that. I just need people to understand, you could insure your whole family for less than $100 a month.
Yeah.
I know people complain about well, I don't have money to buy Nvidia or Netflix or whatever. You can't tell me you can't find a way to find $20 a month.
You can find a way to prioritize what you feel is important. And look, everybody's situation is not going to
be yeah.
And for real.
But that's 2 cups of coffee from Starbucks a week. If you could pass up 2 cups of coffee.
Can you get 2?
That may be 1.
Because I'm trying to think, that's $5, that's a 2.
But it's those things making that mind, because I truly believe that's what it is. Because we're in the information age. If you want to know something, it's there at your fingertips. At this point, you're choosing to be ignorant.
Right.
Because everybody can sacrifice. Luckily, I'm not a coffee drinker, so this doesn't apply to me. But it ain't that hard to sacrifice 2 cups of coffee a week. Not even a week, over the course of a month.
Yeah.
To put something like this in place and have a wealth building tool that's actively building for you. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be that knowledgeable. You just talk to individuals like you who run you through the game, and this is kind of set it and forget it type thing.
The biggest thing that any individual has to be willing to do is just to take action.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scary thing about where we are in the social media age is you see something, you get that dopamine hit from it, and you feel like you did something.
Yep.
But you didn't.
You ain't do jack.
You haven't done anything.
Yeah.
So you don't get hype about it and be like, okay, yeah, I need to get this, when you're watching the 60-second clip,
mm-hmm.
and then it just falls to the wayside.
Yep.
Take the action, move forward, make it happen.
1,000%.
That's it.
Man, as we wrap up here, I like to ask every entrepreneur on this show one specific question. Walk us through the most difficult time in your life as an entrepreneur and how you overcame that moment.
Wow. So many.
There's no shortages of those stories. But that one where you thought you were going to break,
where this is kind of the end.
Because I think one of the big things we struggle with as entrepreneurs, at some point we all have imposter syndrome. Man, am I really the dude that's qualified to be leading this organization doing that?
For sure. For sure. I'll tell you that early in my career, I did some work, and it wasn't. I could tell you some stories, from the music time too.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell you some stories of, sleeping in the car, sleeping on park benches, different places. But what I will say is, I'll talk about this particular industry that I'm in right now,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a few stories, but I'll take you back to one that's fairly early. I remember I was I used to go and work with school districts, and with those school districts, we would do a drawing. Our go-to-market method was come see us, get educated, get a gift, get into a drawing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's not rebating because it's not for purchasing a policy. Just come, let me talk to you, and I'll give you something. I'll give you a tchotchke, like an umbrella or something. And our drawings at the time were like flat screen TVs.
Yeah.
The expense of the TV was on me. I mean, because this is 1099, I'm 100% commission as an agent.
Yeah.
As an agent, the vast majority of my career, I've been 100% commission. I did spend some time in corporate for a short amount of time, but I will remember preparing for that enrollment, and my bank account had, I don't know, maybe $30 in it.
Mm-hmm.
The TV was $120. But the ATM would allow me to take out more than I had. So I remember taking the money out and overdrafting my account to buy this TV. I already had the other stuff, but I remember buying this TV. And then I had, I think I took out $150. I put $20 in the car for gas because I had to get there. And I went to this this location. I remember driving along the way, and I was listening to motivational messages. I might have been listening to some ET during that time too. And I remember that video you're talking about. I think I was listening to some ET was playing, some Les Brown was playing.
Oh yeah. Oh, Les Brown was that dude.
Yes, listen, I'm the one.
Yep.
Man, I'm driving, Sam. I'm bawling while I'm driving. It kind of brings some tears to my eyes right now thinking about it, getting back to that place. And there's no guarantees when you're doing this stuff, and I didn't know what was going to happen. But I remember I got to that location. Once I got there, obviously tears gone. I'm putting on the happy face, and this is the thing: you never know what somebody is going through, like in the background, like where they were right before they seen you, because when I walked into that location, nobody would have known that I was on my way, like bawling out, like I was driving there bawling out in my car. Even the people that worked around me, my family didn't know, any of this stuff. But I'm like having this intense moment, and I get to that location. I walk in, I do what I need to do. Hey, how you doing? Meet everybody, set up, and end up, writing enough business to make about $1,000 that day. And
look at God.
Look at God. Look at God. And from that moment, I was like, okay, this can happen. We can keep going.
See, and I always feel like most entrepreneurs have that breaking point story where it was like, you got a choice. Because I had to make a similar decision for myself where it was like, I could have easily eased back into the comfort of another job.
For sure.
Or I could have stayed the path and continued on my entrepreneurial journey.
For sure.
And I think when you have to take that risk, and I mean, it's in biblical teachings as well too. Like, give me your all. Don't come with half. Give me everything.
Prove it.
Yeah.
Prove how much do you want this?
And when you put that on the line and said, you know what, this is a big gamble, but the safest bet I think anybody can ever make is on themselves.
Yeah.
And you said, I'm gonna overdraft this bank account. I'm gonna
get what I need to get.
And you showed up in the form that you're supposed to, and things happened.
And it worked out. And thankfully, it's continued to be a steady trajectory since. Not saying, look, it's not always easy. Because at every level it gets harder. It gets harder. Like, there's been times even in running the business where it's like we're on the brink of insolvency, and then a case comes that changes the game, or we're able to access some capital or something that came through to gave us some more liquidity, to keep going and keep making the payroll that we need to make. These things are happening all the time. It's not about it just being good or being able to show up in the bad times. It's all about being consistent. I remember one of my early mentors said, listen, you have good days, you have bad days. Some days, he said, some days you're gonna leave, finish working for the day. You'll feel like stopping at every happy hour along the way because it's so good. Some days you're gonna want to leave and find the first bridge and jump off. He said, but you can't let your highs get too high. You can't let your lows get too low. You just got to be consistent all the time. And that's really what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about consistency.
Yes.
And it's about continuing to produce no matter what. You asked me about the books and the life insurance, so I'll kind of combine those two. One of the things that I learned about in life insurance in my study in that, and then as I continued to grow in the industry and the way that I interact with the industry, I started to notice being at executive levels of leadership and such. I'm like, man, there aren't many people that look like me in this space. So one of the things that I took it upon myself to do was I started to look for books about Black professionals in the insurance industry and financial services. I could not really find.
About to say one a whole lot there.
No, I couldn't really find it. Eventually, there's one book that I found by Alexa Henderson called about Atlanta life insurance. But at this time, I hadn't even found that book. And I said, man, you know what? I can't find this book, but I know there are stories. I know we're stakeholders. And I said, I'm going to just write the book. Now, one of the stories that I found growing up in Richmond, Virginia, was about William Washington Brown. William Washington Brown chartered the first African-American owned bank in the United States. This was in 1887, 1888. Okay, started bank 1887, chartered in 1888.
Is that block that we call Black Wall Street here in Richmond?
It's in Jackson Ward, kind of off to the side, is where that banking institution was. Now, the reason that True Reformers Bank started, and this is a gentleman who was born enslaved in Georgia, came up to Virginia. He escaped enslavement, joined the Union Army during the Civil War, came out of the Civil War, started a fraternal organization called the Grand United Order of True Reformers, which these fraternal organizations and mutual aid societies were very popular for protecting communities right after Reconstruction. And the Grand United Order of True Reformers created an insurance program for their members, a life insurance program. It was the first Black organization to use mortality tables to determine the premiums, because this is how life insurance is determined.
Yep.
It's older. It's more expensive when you're older. You purchase it older versus when you're younger. And these are based on mortality tables. So they were the first Black organization to utilize mortality tables. And the life insurance premiums that they collected from their members to help with the burial expenses should they die were the revenue that were utilized to create and fund this True Reformers Bank. So when you hear about True Reformers Bank, which most people don't even hear about True Reformers Bank, especially in Richmond, what we normally hear about in Richmond is Consolidated Bank. We hear about Maggie Walker and Consolidated Bank. But here's the thing. Maggie Walker ran the Order of St. Luke's. The Order of St. Luke's also had an insurance program, and they started St. Luke's Penny Savings and Loan from those proceeds. And she was inspired to do that by who? William Washington Brown and the True Reformers and their insurance program that preceded what she did by about 30, 40 years. Yeah. So, and what she did, she just took it to another level, right? To start the first Black and woman-owned bank. Happy Women's History Month, as we record this in March, in the entire country. But those stories, William Washington Brown being one, Alonzo Herndon down in Atlanta and Atlanta Life Insurance and what he was able to do, being also formerly enslaved, then becoming a barber, learning and listening to the individuals whose hair he was cutting, which were white businessmen in Atlanta. He learned about real estate, was able to buy property, utilize proceeds from the property to buy a failing mutual aid company that ended up becoming Atlanta Life Insurance, which at one point was the largest Black-owned institution in the country, a company that was thriving all the way up to the 1960s. Then, is now entering a bit of a reemergence since Magic Johnson purchased them a couple years ago, to North Carolina Mutual and the entire Raleigh-Durham area being built by John Merrick, who was the founder there, and C.C. Spalding, who is an incredibly successful and well-known businessman from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, called the most influential Black man in America in the 1950s, as a matter of fact, working for an insurance company, all the way to A.G. Gaston down in Alabama, starting Booker T. Washington Insurance Company, and that insurance company creating the foundation for his funeral home businesses, his hotel businesses, his restaurant businesses, to become Alabama's first Black millionaire, and one of the primary funders of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was Martin Luther King's organization that he started, and the Gaston Motel served as the headquarters for the Southern Christian Leadership Conference when they were doing their protests down in Alabama.
Man.
You know, so all of these are rooted back to Black-owned insurance companies, life insurance primarily, that were funding the community, protecting the community, providing structure, comfort, and helping to fund some of the civil rights initiatives that we hear about, you know, to this day. Because we hear about the civil rights. We even heard a couple things about the banking institution. We don't hear about the insurance participation.
Yeah, no.
So I wrote 3 books, you know, really to deal with that. Black Pioneers of the American Insurance Industry, Black Innovators of the American Insurance Industry, and Black Visionaries of the American Insurance Industry. And give you one more. The first Black Fortune 500 CEO. You know who that was?
Not Robert F. Smith?
No, he was not. Even before Robert F. Smith, you had what's my guy, Reginald Lewis.
Oh yeah,
but it wasn't him either.
Why should white guys have all
the fun? Right. It was
which my dad went to college with him at Virginia State University. Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Did he play football? Did your dad play football?
No, he was a track guy.
That's what's up. The first Fortune 500 CEO in America was a gentleman by the name of Clifton Wharton Jr. Clifton Wharton, that Fortune 500 company was TIAA CREF, which is the life insurance and annuities companies that is utilized by educators around the country. So the first Black Fortune 500 CEO was the CEO of an insurance company.
Yeah, I got to go get the book. If y'all listen to this episode and you don't call this man and get a life insurance policy right now, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Dude, this is awesome. I'm definitely ordering those books. I need you to
look. Call me to help you with your employees and your business. I want to see you grow and scale your business.
Yep.
Look, we say we don't sell insurance. We sell vibes. You know, vision, integrity, bridges, efficiency.
Oh, you gotta let me market that, dude. You gotta let me market that.
Come on, bro. Let's do it, man. You know?
that's too easy in my world, man. We can kill that. Dude, well, if people want to find more information on you, they want to work with you, they want to get the books, where can they get in contact with you?
So more information on the insurance side, just go to encoreinsured.com, ENCOREINSURED.com. I had to work on that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Get that out. Encoreinsured.com. You can reach out on social media at Encore Insured. You can reach out on LinkedIn. Gerard, Jarrard, Powell. There are 2 of us on LinkedIn, myself and my son. We're the only 2 Gerard Powells on LinkedIn. He does work in insurance, so don't get us confused. He works at Martell. But reach out on LinkedIn. And if you're on IG, if you're feeling spicy, you can reach out to me on IG as well, at TheRodPowell, TheRodPowell. And
we got to get you on TikTok, man.
So
I'm gonna talk to you about that.
You know what? Here's the thing. So I do have a TikTok page. It's my platform, because I also host a podcast, an insurance career-based podcast called You Should Get a License.
Beautiful.
We call it Most Underrated Industry and Business Today, and that is your number 1 source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated industry in business. You Should Get a License, the podcast. Also the book. That's my 4th book. Nice. You Should Get a License, the book. We talk about insurance careers, what opportunities are available, the designations that you can pursue, as well as the associations and organizations that support transitioning professionals and emerging leaders in the marketplace. So you got the 3 books, Black Pioneers, Black Innovators, Black Visionaries, and then you have the You Should Get a License book as well. So let's stay connected.
Perfect. Love it, man. Appreciate you being here today, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. We'll see you guys on the next episode.